everyone, it's 24th of February. So in the previous video you saw me build these raised beds which have been kindly supplied by Vegega. I'll put the link in the description below for the website, and there'll also be a discount code which will get you 10% off should you want one. As I mentioned in the last video, there's different configurations, different heights and different colours you can buy, and obviously you can email them or contact them to any questions, and they're really helpful like that. They get back to you pretty quick. They're based worldwide, so obviously there's a UK supplier and a US supplier, but you'll be able to get anything you require if you just contact them or just buy it on the site. You know, it's completely up to you. So today I'm going to fill them up, and predominantly with compost that a local company to me in Preston, Scrivens, have supplied these bags. So it's made doing this possible for me. You know, to get a couple of companies on board to help me demonstrate the products. So I'm going to fill them up pretty much the same, but like I say, if you can't get hold of the compost, I'll put the link for the website for Scrivens in the description below, and also there'll be a discount code. You'll probably get 5-10% off, and they deliver nationwide in the UK. So we'll have a look at what we're going to be filling it with. So I've got a topsoil and compost. So if you can't, you know, afford to buy it in, if you've got some of your own, that's fine, use that also. So I'll just show you some ways you can fill it. Obviously if you're putting it on grass or anything like that, or really weedy, you know, environment with problem weeds such as like dock leaves, dandelions, couch grass and all that sort of thing, you can put cardboard down, simply any brown cardboard. Just give it a right good overlap. There is a good depth to it. If you're filling it like really deep, I don't think they'd ever come up, to be honest. But it just gives you a bit of time. You know, you cover it, you know, overlap it as much as you like, because the worms it'll all get composted in. It just, the time it takes that to compost down, you know, the weeds just aren't going to come through. They'll probably direct and go outside in your path. But if you're putting bark down or anything like that, or chippings, that's fine. Basically, you've got compost, which I make from like kitchen scraps and garden waste, which is this, not quite broken down enough to use as potting compost really. Could do, I could sieve it out. Still got bits of twigs in it, that's fine to use. And then you've got all your bits of scraps which actually make this, including kitchen scraps, tea bags. Just make sure the tea bags that you use, that they're fully biodegradable. And you've got real clumpy, stalky stuff like root balls off Brussels sprouts, and I've got some stalks off Brussels sprouts. They're okay down at the bottom. They'll take a while in your compost heap to compost down. Stick them in the bottom of the bed. They'll do well good down there. And then also, if you've got anything from the previous year, this had a tomato planted last year. Old compost, don't throw it away. It's all good. If you know you can't really afford everything, use what you've got. You know, you can just you don't have to fill them right up. You know, you can fill it to what you can, planting it, and then just keep adding to it each year to build it up until you've got your achieved height. You know, you don't have to go and lay out loads of money to grow something. You start off with the bed, you know, and then you can just grow in the soil. If you have to, put a little layer of compost on, and then at the end of the year, you know, you can build it up. If it was in the autumn, I'd probably fill this with like straw and hay. I would have my raised beds at the allotment. So it's got a good lot of manure and things like that. It's got a long time to break down, but we're sort of like end of winter now, not far from spring. So I'm going to be growing in these in a matter of weeks. So these will be fine down the bottom, not an issue. So there's no sort of finesse way to filling it up. You don't have to worry too much about it. Like I say, get all your stalky bits, just throw them in. It doesn't matter. Just give them a kick about. About wherever you want. Anything that has basically grown or come from the ground is compostable. It will all go back, you know, because wherever it's grown from, it's taking nutrients up. So it'll just put them straight back. You know, you can tread it in a bit if you want. You know, as long as these are down the bottom, they're not going to cause any problems when you're raking it up or anything like that. You know, and probably within 12 months they'll be pretty rotten down, because this is going to, obviously it's not going to get hot, this, to compost stuff down. It's all old Brussels sprout greens. That's fine, just spread them all around. These will all rot down. A few prunings off some gooseberry bushes there. old bits of strawberry plants that have taken the tops off. And this will encourage worms and all sorts up into the bed. You know, and you can chop it up if you want. You know, that's also fine. There's a lot of nitrogen in here, so you could put some bit of wood chip in if you wanted to. Probably whatever you're putting in greens, like this is kind of like green waste, which when it's sort of rotted down at high temperatures, it'll turn black. Because here in the UK, you know, we put this in our sort of wheelie bins and have to pay for the local council to take it away, which then gets composted and sold back to us. So if you've got the space, put it to use. But there's no harm in buying it. You know, at the end of the day, you're growing your own produce, which is going to save you a bomb, especially in this day and age anyway. So you've got old compost. Tip that out. But I use old crushed cans, like crocking the pots, you know, to save blocking the holes up. Big old root ball. Kick that about. So don't be trying to make it look really pretty, because your plants will not mind. As long as they can get some roots down and get some food, and the worms will break all this up. You could dig this up at the end of the year and you might find a few twigs. The rest of it will be gone. Kitchen scraps, such as lettuce, onions, tea bags, toilet roll tubes. Kick that about as well. But yeah, if you're new to the channel, you know, hit the subscribe button, you know, because you'll see everything from obviously doing things like this to sowing to harvesting, and sometimes a bit of like what I do to preserve stuff like blanching. But you see everything, all good and bad. Obviously I do reviews for companies as well. So if you want to support the channel, there's links in the description how you can support the channel, because it all goes back into the channel, which enables me to do things like this, to try and help other people out before laying out money if it's right for them. This is like my own sort of kitchen scraps and garden waste from last year. It's like what I harvested in the winter. I cleared everything, all went in, rotted down. You know, if you can turn it a little bit more often, then it'll break down quicker, but it doesn't matter. You know, and it's still got worms in it, so you put in worms in, there'll be all the bacteria, you know, microbes and everything, all in there. Obviously, when you put stuff in like this, as it, you know, rots down even further, your bed will sink. So the best thing to do is put more than what you need in, and it will settle. I mean, we are due back. Look at it, clouds are coming now, so we're going to get some rain, which I don't mind, because the rain will help settle it. It's okay to walk on, but when you've got soil involved in it, be careful you don't compact it. But you've got a good mix of compost and soil, the worms will come in, it'll constantly be aerated, it'll drain well, but it will also retain moisture. If you've got any like old bits of turf, turn them upside down in it at the bottom. You know, if you're putting it on a lawn, you can put it direct on the grass, or dig the actual turf off, you know, an inch deep or something. Put your bed in and then flip the turf at the bottom upside down, which makes a brilliant loam. Even if you store it somewhere, just give it a chance to the grass to die back, and it's a proper nice loamy soil. But if not, if you can manage it, buy some. But you can do half and half. Anything to save yourself a few quid. If you've got the stuff, put it in. Because I always say, you know, anything that comes from ground is fine to go back to ground. So I'm going to do a blend of compost and topsoil. No real measurement. If I had some like sand and that, probably put a bit of sand in or grit, but you can always add them things later on, because it will properly mix itself up over time on its own. The worms will come in, churn it all around, because it's like a little factory that's going on constantly. As long as you keep adding a little layer of sort of kitchen scraps or compost each year, you keep everything alive in there. That's topsoil, you know, that Scriven supplied. Great stuff. It's got sand in it as well. Not loads, but like I say, if you pack that into a ball and it gets wet, some plants will struggle. I mean, things like potatoes love it, they'll just bust through it. But put a bit of compost in it, you know, which is it's green waste. So it's the stuff that's supplied by people and their kitchen waste, given to the council, and the council will sell it on to companies, you know, or give it to them, and they obviously make a living from producing compost. It's really black, so it's been composted at high temperatures. It doesn't take long for them to do because they do it in absolutely masses. You know, at some point I might even visit Scrivens to see where it all happens and make a video on that. And I thought, well, it's a perfect opportunity to, you know, demonstrate these raised beds and how you can grow in it, how you can either produce your own growing medium, or if you have to fill it with some bought-in stuff. So far, there's no shame in buying to start off with. Well, we all have to start. You know, but if you know someone who's got some stables, sometimes they'll be willing to give you some horse muck or cow manure. It just needs a bit of time. I think sometimes when you've got a bed like this, ideally could do with a little, you know, a few months to sort of mature and get everything going in it that needs to go in it, and for everything to start breaking it down, and then you get a nice sort of blend. The microbe has distributed all the sort of elements that are in there. Obviously, if you keep adding a little bit, you feed the microbes, which then feed the soil, feed your plants, feed you, and then whatever you don't eat, you put it straight back. You don't need big compost heaps, you know. You compost in bags if you had to, just stab it with a fork, and, you know, leaves are like that in the autumn. Take a load of leaves and put them in a bag, prick the bottom of them, and just forget about it for a couple of years in a bag. It'll crumple down to next to nothing, but it's cracking stuff, leaf mould. So most things, they just take time. I'm just mainly mixing this up a little bit just so I've not got no big pockets of one particular thing. Bit of spade on the job. Should be careful I don't hook any of that stuff up from underneath. But no problem if I do. So I'll just do this bed. I'll do the other one exactly the same, because the other one's set up in a 5 foot by 3 foot configuration. But so far these beds, they look pretty much the way to go, really. You know, you don't want to keep maintaining wood or anything like that. Keep replacing it every few years when it rots. And metal is the way to go. So I'm not worried about these little bits that are coming up out the bottom. Because stuff like green waste, like lettuce and that, all the fine leafy stuff, a few weeks and they'll be broken down. Obviously, you've got a lot of problem roots like dock roots and anything like that. I wouldn't put them in the beds, same as nettles. If you've got that sort of thing, stick them in a bucket of water with a lid on, leave them about a month or two. It'll stink. Once they've turned to mush, you're good to put them in then. I'm just going to get a rake and level that bit off. There's a few lumps, but like I say, I'm not bothered. It'll all crumble down. I mean, you could use like a 3-prong hand cultivator, like that. Just keep scuffing it, you know, and basically mimicking kind of a bit of erosion really, and it'll crumble down. You know, a few tea bags coming up, just stab a hole in them if you need to. You know, but yeah, your plants really aren't going to be too bothered. Now, because that's the base layer, I am going to walk on that a bit, but I'm not going to like heel it in as such. Some gardeners call it the idiot dance, because people watching you doing it, you'd look a bit of an idiot, but it has its purpose. It's to try and knock some of the air pockets out of there. You know, plant roots do need air, but the roots can't travel across an air pocket. So it's just a case of walk it round. That just kind of firms it down a bit. So I'm not proper heeling it in or anything like that. Just kind of speeds up that natural settling process a bit. Not like it's going to be trafficked or anything like that. You're not going to be constantly walking on it. That's it, when you add in organic matter each year, it loses its kind of soil basis and it just doesn't compact the same. You know, so you can walk on it when it's, you know, once you've put like a couple of years worth of top dressings on it, it's great. Right, so I'll get some more bags. I'll carry on doing that and we'll have a look at it when it's done. Right, that's it for this video. All this bed's topped up, ready to go. I'm just going to give it a few weeks, let a bit of rain come down it and just let it settle. Might need to put a little bit more on it possibly if it sinks a little bit, but I have. So I'll give it a little walk on. It feels fairly firm but not compact. You know, so should be good to go. I mean, if you were going to fill it, there's nothing stopping you probably in March. You know, you could put some potatoes at ground level and fill it over the potatoes. Just space them, you know, out like that and fill it up that way so you can get a crop, you know, while you fill it. You know, and just helps everything break down. Then, you know, if you're doing first earlies, sort of 12 weeks time, pull them out, put, you know, top it up with some compost, you know, put some, you know, late season crops in, or, you know, beans, courgettes, anything like that, you know, fruits, anything like that. They're a good looking bed, to be honest. I actually quite like the design of them, and we shall see how they get on through the season, and probably for years to come. They'll be probably a permanent feature, you know, until I decide if I'm going to alter anything, you know, or if I move or anything like that. But for now, yeah, they're quite happy with the design and sturdy enough. Not bellying out at the sides. Like I say, they do taller ones, which you can buy the braces for. But again, thank you, a big thank you to, I think it's Vegega, for supplying these beds for me to try out, and obviously for Scrivens for supplying the compost and topsoil for filling them. So links in the description below for everything, you know, and everyone who's supplied and helped me do this. And if you want to help support the channel, the links are in the description below as well. A big thank you to everyone who's subscribed over the years and continues to follow, and I'll keep doing what I can, and anything you want me to try out, I can always reach out to people and, you know, and try and make it happen. If I've got the space and the time, I'm willing to try it, and you can see if it's success or a failure, or if it's right for you. So thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next video, which will be more sowing and growing. Take care now, see ya.